So I am making this face because as I started the stream, I took my first sip of Mountain Dew Flaming Hot. I don't know why I was so curious that I actually did buy this. I don't know what this is supposed to be. I guess there's limes. There's pictures of limes on it, and I don't know that I taste lime. It tastes like cinnamon? Cinnamon and lime soda? Delicious. Refreshing. Oh my god. I might go get another drink. So we were talking to Van Zieks, who was like, "No, you absolutely cannot be my defense lawyer," even though we certainly will be. What did we find out so far? We found out that the guy who is missing, Daly, he was fired 10 years ago, and he was maybe meeting with, well, that was the big thing. Gregson apparently is murdered. Thinking about it, I kind of have my doubts. I think that, given that we've already had, like, so much has gone into keeping this secret, right? This secret about what happened 10 years ago. It's like it's a matter of security on the world stage. That this woman, at the drop of a hat, was like, there was a note that said, frame this cover up this murder I've committed and frame an innocent man for it, otherwise I will expose this secret. And at the drop of a hat, she not only did it, but she actually killed the man that she found when she found that he wasn't actually dead. She's like, well, I'm just a whatever. I'm just a citizen. I'm just this plain old person. But yes, I will in a heartbeat commit murder in order to make sure that this secret doesn't get out. So I think it's quite possible that they were like, well, Gregson has been shot, but we're going to say that he died even though he's alive because it's going to help preserve this secret. Or that he wasn't shot at all. Someone else was shot. And they were like, well, we'll say it was Gregson. So we got that. Come here and talk to him? Maybe. You've made good time. I took an express train back to London, said somebody. Who? I can hear Lord Strongheart, can you? Yes, it sounds as though he's talking to someone. Oh, is it Kazuma? Is everything in place? I had a private compartment on the train, so I could check all the paperwork. Oh, is he gonna prosecute? Of course. Of course he's going to prosecute. But is this the final case, then? Kazuma-sama! Your timing is impeccable. Doves for emphasis. It is? No doubt you have heard the sickening news about the Reaper's latest devilry. Yes. I'm sure you don't believe it, of course, though, Lord Strongheart. That Lord Van Zieks could have done such a thing to Inspector Gregson. I believe only in the facts. And the facts in this case point to one thing. The unavoidable accusal of Lord Van Zieks for this crime. We must bring charges against the Reaper for taking the life of our legendary detective. Oh no, surely not! It's a truly regrettable situation. Tomorrow, the Forensic Science Symposium finally begins. At the very least, though, we can show the world our justice system's swift and equitable processes. Because if there's two things that aren't completely opposed, it's swift and justice. We make it as just as possible, but also we get it done before sunset. Before tea time, really. So does that mean the trial is tomorrow? Precisely. In fact, this is a fine opportunity for introductions. Kazuma. But of course, you're already acquainted, aren't you? Mr. Asogi here will be present at tomorrow's proceedings, leading the prosecution. Wait, what? Kazuma? As I'm sure you're aware, he's a very capable practitioner of law. Kazuma-sama, a prosecutor? I'm sure you can imagine that tomorrow's trial will be closely followed all over London. In fact, no. People all over the world will be watching closely to see how it unfolds. There's no salvation for anyone in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper of the Bailey. And now, the Reaper himself must stand in the dock. Quite so. The public want answers about the Reaper. Answers about how and why those who escaped conviction subsequently died mysterious deaths. But Lord Van Zieks firmly denies any involvement in such matters. And there have been thorough investigations that have proven him to be innocent. That's certainly true. Or it has been, at least, until now. Ah. No. Tomorrow's trial will mark the start of a new chapter in our country's great judicial history. Doves for emphasis. Are they doves? Do they have doves in London, or are those run-of-the-mill pigeons? Run of the wind, run of the clock, run of the Big Ben pigeons. So Kazuma will be prosecuting tomorrow? That's right. But he's a defense lawyer, Lord Strongheart. Accomplished young law practitioners cannot pick and choose their roles. And imagine what it will mean for the prosecution to know the strategies commonly employed by the defense. A devastating combination, wouldn't you agree? Absolutely. I've no doubt at all that Kazuma will be razor sharp as a prosecutor. But why Kazuma-sama? There are surely many other highly skilled prosecutors in Great Britain. It was a personal request. I asked to be assigned to the trial. You asked for this? But why? It'll all become clear tomorrow. I'm guessing you intend to stand for the defense, don't you? Although the Reaper appears to be turning down all offers of representation. I'm surprised such a personal request would have been upheld. It seems unprecedented. Quite exceptional, in fact. You are quite right, Miss Mikotaba. Tomorrow's trial will be unprecedented and exceptional in every way. After all, the accused is one of Britain's greatest prosecutors, the pride of the Empire. It would be unwise to give the public a reason to perceive it as the judiciary closing ranks. well, if you have basically his closest accomplice be the one prosecuting him, then if he's found not guilty, it's not all that, like, definitive, is it? Be like, shucks, they found him not guilty. Oh, who is prosecuting him? Oh, the person he works with. The person he worked with more closely than anyone else in the world. The person who, like, defended his life 2 days ago, or however many days ago. Took a bullet for him. No big deal. We just had that guy prosecute him, and then he was found not guilty. So that's why you're happy to let a foreigner handle the prosecution? Ryunosuke, let's see how your skills have been honed after practicing law in this land for so many months. While you were practicing law, I studied the blade. Kazuma, I don't understand why you're being so hostile to me right now. This isn't going to end well, my friend. Oh yes, we noticed that there was a gun at the scene of Inspector Gregson's death. Do you know if it belongs to Lord Van Zieks? That would be a question for the lead detective investigating the scene. Well, the thing is, she wasn't sure, so she told me I should ask somebody higher up who might know. That's right, Mr. Naruhodo. Be direct. It's certainly a model that is issued to all personnel involved in law enforcement, yes. Which includes prosecutors, as I'm sure you can imagine. They have a great reason to carry loaded firearms. So that they can prosecute people in court? In that case, it could actually have belonged to the victim. No. Gregson had his gun on his person. What about Lord Van Zieks? He claims it's currently not in his possession. What? According to his story, he lost it. In short, it's more than a little sus. But just because the gun in question is the same type as the defendant's is no proof that he's a sussy baka. No, of course not. Nevertheless, the situation is grave for Lord Van Zieks. I'm gonna look at you. Looked right at him. I'm sorry for all the worry I've caused you, but it'll be alright now. Has your memory completely returned? Yes, completely. I remember everything. Including what I was coming here to do. Right. Kazuma-sama, I can't tell you how happy I am to see you alive and well like this. But how did you come to be here in London when you were suffering from amnesia? It was the voice. This past year, I've been hearing it in my head, constantly, saying the same thing over and over. Go to London. That is where your destiny awaits. It was that voice that guided me here to London. I'm so sorry for what's happened. Anyway, my memory might have returned to me, but there's something that won't return to the way it was before. Huh? What do you mean? I am a prosecutor now, so I'm sure our paths will cross again very soon. Doesn't look like we're going to glean much more here. Well, thank you very much, Lord Strongheart. Remember, tomorrow's trial will go down in our empire's history. There's much you could learn from the public gallery. What does that mean? Sorry to have taken up so much of your time. We'll see ourselves out.
Hold it!
Blah! You didn't have to shout. I'm standing right in front of you. Before you go, Ryunosuke. Oh, what is it, Kazuma? I just wanted to thank you. Kazuma-sama, what? You took my determination to heart and brought it with you over the ocean in my stead. And you carried out my role to perfection. You always were intent on studying British law in order to change our own justice system. It was your dream, and Mr. Naruhodo didn't want that to die with you. Yes. But I had another purpose for coming here. Oh. I actually have a favor to ask. Which is? This trial I'll be prosecuting tomorrow, I'd like you to be there to see how it ends. Right in front of me, as the defense counsel. Why? What's this all about? I know you have what it takes. But Lord Van Zieks would never put his fate in my hands. On the contrary, he recognizes your talent. He does? It's not easy to see behind the facade sometimes. Here, have a look at this. That's Lord Van Zieks and Inspector Gregson. In a photograph that must have been taken some time ago by the look of it. And who's the third person? It was displayed very prominently in the detective's office. In Gregson's office, you mean? Yes. What I'm trying to say is, if you really think you can trust the Reaper, you might find that some straight talking makes him take a different view. Take it. Gregson's photo. I don't understand. Why are you giving me this? Just hurry, Ryunosuke. Visiting hours at the prison are almost over. What are you doing, Kazuma? Lord Van Zieks is still reading that letter. We've been gone quite some time, though. Either he's an incredibly slow reader, or it's an incredibly long letter. I might even be able to read English faster than he can.
I was intending to ignore you entirely. But I can't turn a deaf ear to such an insulting Nipponese.
Oh, sorry. I didn't think you'd hear that.
I had the case notes brought to me in secret. I was reading them to pass the time.
Yes, we heard that your trial is set for tomorrow.
Which is none of your business.
So, have you found a lawyer?
How many times must I smack you? 1, 2... 2 smacks!
No, wait, no.
How many times must I reiterate the same thing? This is nothing to do with you.
In other words, no. We were just talking to Lord Strongheart, and the prosecutor for your trial has been decided.
I'd expect nothing less, though I have no idea who it is.
It's going to be Kazuma Asogi.
Asogi?
That made the color drain from his completely white face.
Well, then. It seems I'm going to have to engage in conversation with you again, after all.
Okay. Let's do it.
10 years ago! My older brother, who was the director of prosecutions at the time, was murdered. And the killer, as you know, was a visiting student from the Far East. Not a single day goes by when I don't curse the name Asogi.
Genshin Asogi was Kazuma-sama's father.
So what cruel twist of fate is this now? 10 years later. The man's son is to crucify me in some kangaroo court.
I still don't understand why people call it a kangaroo court. Never been to Australia. I still don't understand why Lord Strongheart apprenticed Kazuma to you.
It's what he does. No doubt he knew of the young man's true identity from the outset.
But what could he have been hoping to achieve? Let's not forget that it was only 8 days ago that Cosmo recovered from his amnesia. Why would Lord Strongheart assign this trial to somebody like that?
Asugi. That name is the very epitome of my bane. It is also the bane of my epitome. The bane that is you Nipponese.
Right. Your hatred of all us Japanese. The Nipponese Bane. Or is it pronounced Bane? Nipponese Bane.
I'd only just been appointed as a prosecutor when it happened 10 years ago. My brother, Clint, the director of prosecutions, was hunting down a mass murderer.
The so-called professor.
Assigned to the investigation as his partner was a certain visiting student dispatched from Scotland Yard.
And that was Genshin Asuki?
Exactly. I developed a deep respect for the man. He seemed noble-minded and chivalrous in the extreme to me. But none of us saw the true nature of the man. So I lost everything when it happened. My esteemed brother, the people I believed in, and any semblance of right prevailing over wrong.
Oh, how awful.
To avenge my brother, I prosecuted in Asugi's trial. It wouldn't ordinarily have been allowed, but I beleaguered the ascribed prosecutor until he consented.
What do you mean by the ascribed prosecutor?
The man in charge of the professor case inquiry, Lord Mail Strongheart.
Wait, what? Lord Strongheart?
He was a highly accomplished prosecutor, but he agreed to relinquish the trial to me and act as my advisor instead. Since that time, he's the one person to whom I felt indebted.
I'm sure he must have seen your zeal for the case and recognized your potential as a prosecutor.
Anyway, time passed, but then earlier this year, who should arrive in London but you? And of all things, as a lawyer.
I felt your animosity the first time I ever faced you in the courtroom. Your obvious racism. I have racism dar. I can detect when someone is super racist towards me in thought, word, and deed.
I kept telling myself it was illogical, but for so many years that hatred had festered inside me. I could no longer control it.
And I can understand why, now I know the history.
But in the same way that I've long felt the Nipponese to be the bane of my life, to Kazuma Asugi I am the bane of his, the reaper who sent his father to the gallows. He's looking for revenge, and he intends to take it in court tomorrow. Gregson's transfer to the Paris police prefecture had finally been arranged for the coming month, but he'll never make it to France now. It's a tragedy.
Oh yes, come to think of it, he did mention something about that, didn't he? I wonder, does it happen often? Being transferred internationally, I mean.
It's the first time I've ever encountered it.
Oh.
The Paris police welcoming an English detective is almost inconceivable. I can't imagine what kind of magic Gregson must have worked to put that arrangement in place.
Sounds like that mystery has even the Reaper perplexed. I'm afraid to say that we were very ignorant about Inspector Gregson's standing. We hear that he was considered something of a legend at Scotland Yard.
Again, it was 10 years ago that he first made a name for himself by uncovering a decisive piece of evidence that exposed the professor's identity. If it wasn't for Gregson's singular approach to the case, the discovery would never have been made.
Could Gregson be the professor? Because we had, what was it? Dual Destinies? Was the one where the guy who's been following you around the whole time, Bobby Fulbright, and they're like, oh, actually, he's a complete and total sociopath who is behind all of the murders. That's not necessarily the case here, though. But just that they have done that before. They've had somebody who you wouldn't have thought was the murderer turned out to be the murderer. It's like, oh, did he find something 10 years ago to pin it on someone else? Probably not. My money's still obviously on Strongheart. He's just too obviously evil. What sort of approach?
After my brother's life was taken, the inspector pushed for a full autopsy.
Oh my, 10 years ago? Why is that so surprising?
Autopsy was considered a desecration of the body at the time and rarely performed. And my brother was, of course, a noble. That made the idea of it even more unthinkable. But something Gregson had dug up in his investigations made him determined it was necessary. His powerful conviction somehow influenced the House of Lords, and as a result, I could avenge my brother's death.
So you must have had great confidence in the inspector's abilities, then. Okay, he ordered the autopsy, but what's-her-name probably performed it, right? Seth? Dr. Seth? Performed the autopsy, and she was the one who faked the evidence, maybe. And it's even more inconceivable that you would have taken his life.
I don't have confidence in anyone.
Oh.
And I'm sure Gregson felt the same way. I've no doubt he thought of me only as the ominous Reaper, just like the rest of London.
What really went on between Lord Van Zieks and Gregson, I wonder? What was the true nature of their relationship? About the gun used to shoot the inspector that was found at the scene.
Yes, that's not mine.
Really? Just common opinion seems to be that it is.
What do you expect me to say to that?
Lord Strongheart informs us that you claim to have misplaced your firearm.
As embarrassing as that is, I'm afraid it is true.
When did you lose it, then?
That I don't know.
Oh.
I was issued with a revolver when I first became a prosecutor. 10 years ago. I must have stowed it away somewhere, I suppose, or left it somewhere, perhaps.
You have something in common with Lord Van Zieks after all, Mr. Naruto. A talent for misplacing things. No, this has nothing to do with me. Don't drag me into it.
Don't make the mistake of associating me with this Nipponese.
Oh dear. The rift is very wide, isn't it? So it's not decisive evidence, clearly, but it doesn't look good. That's for sure. Alright, now I can present the thing. Lord Van Zieks. We came by this old photograph.
Where did you get that? It was taken when I became a qualified prosecutor. It's almost unbelievable. I assumed it was long lost.
Is the man on the left there?
Yes, that is my brother, Clint.
Doo-ba-ding. Obviously. It had to be, really. Kind of dumb of me to have even asked. Apparently, this picture was prominently displayed in Gregson's office. He had a deep respect for you, you know. Were you aware of that?
Respect? That's nonsense.
No, we've heard someone attest to it very clearly. Inspector Gina Lestrade, no less.
Well, maybe once, yes. There was a time things were like that. We were brothers in arms, jovially discussing the future of justice and other such lofty subject matter. That was a nice glimpse of the past. I thank you.
I feel as though I got a nice glimpse of the past then, too. There was a glimmer of light in his eyes, a brief twinkle, an insight into the true nature of this man, known to all as the Stone Cold Reaper of the Bailey, or else it was glaucoma. Does glaucoma look like a sparkle? Perhaps. I'm not a doctor.
Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, that's the first time he's ever used my actual name.
I've lost all confidence in my country's justice system. I don't trust the police, the judiciary, or lawyers. But there's still one thing I'm willing to believe in.
What's that?
That which you see in the eyes of another across the courtroom.
Glaucoma?
No. A simple determination to know the truth.
Lord Van Zieks.
From the very first time we clashed in the Bailey, almost a year ago now, I couldn't deny it, even though I dearly wished I could. Here is a loathsome Nipponese who has absolute integrity as a lawyer. There are only two men I've known with that same look in their eyes. My brother Clint and Genshin Asugi.
The man he idolized and the man who betrayed his trust in the most hideous way.
When you showed me that photograph just now, it reminded me.
You mean this photograph?
Back then, I was able to laugh. I was free of the shackles of mistrust that plague me now. Now I am only able to laugh when I am counting. I look to the future with hope. Since then, I've protected myself against betrayal by refusing to trust anyone. But at times, the mire into which I've sunk makes it almost impossible to breathe.
It's just the strychnine. I'm so sorry.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, I want to suck your blood. I also want to believe that look in your eyes. I need to believe in it. In tomorrow's trial, will you advocate for me?
I have to think carefully about this. Oh, no, I don't. Of course I will. It would be an honor. An honor. Onur. I'm so pleased, Mr. Naruhodo.
Then my life is in your hands.
For Lord Van Zieks. That must have been an incredibly hard thing to ask. Which is why I simply cannot let the man down. Tomorrow, in the Old Bailey, against my old friend, Kazuma. So will this trial be resolved in one day, or will this be a longer trial? It seems like it has to. I mean, this should be a long chapter, and I suppose we don't have any evidence. Like normally, if you're going into you would have a good chunk of evidence that would at least sort of point to the fact. We have no evidence whatsoever. There's that old familiar feeling again. Crushing pressure of this historic courthouse. Actually, no. It's a little different today. There's an even more menacing tension in the air. There's a menacing tension in the air here today, too. Oh, wait. There's a menacing tension in the air today, isn't there? I suppose. Yes, I think so. It can only be the result of the menacing appearance of the defendant.
A little more courtesy, if you please.
Oh my, I do apologize.
However, you're certainly not mistaken that this trial is far from ordinary.
What do you mean?
I'm not privy to the details. However, I understand that no jury has been selected.
A trial without a jury? Well, that's just like the trial of the professor 10 years ago. A closed court. Good morning, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes. Have you made note of my hair, Mr. Naruhodo? An outright victory for science, you must agree. To be perfectly honest, so much happened yesterday that, well, I completely forgot about your little hair problem. Ha! What to one man is a little hair problem, is to another a day of drinking dubious potion after dubious potion. You have no idea how my stomach ails me this morning. Oh dear. How awful were you? Hello, Serp. If you missed a stream, it was a short one. It was when I streamed on Saturday. I only streamed for like an hour. I spent the past several days, I've just been so tired. And then my sleep schedule got completely messed up as a result. I was like staying up till like 7 or 8 in the morning and then going to bed and then getting back up after like 3 hours and then napping on and off until like midnight. The absolute worst. Let's hope I'm back on I mean, I'm really not. When did I wake up today? 10:30. Not quite back on schedule, but you know. But yes, here we are, about to start the trial. How awful for you. I'm afraid you only have yourself to blame, Mr. Sholmes. And good morning to you, Mr. Reaper. I'm delighted to see you looking so full of vim.
And I see London's celebrated great detective is as active as ever.
Oh, you exaggerate, my dear fellow. Compared to my paltry engagements with a few trivial cases, the Reaper's overbearing presence is a far greater deterrence to the black roots of crime in our capital. And whilst I may not agree with your methods, there is at least one point on which I would readily commend you.
What an honor, and that would be?
Your eye for a good lawyer, sir. Mr. Sholmes. After all, behind this lawyer there is a very great mind, my own.
What are you trying to say?
I wish only to say that you should be prepared for quite a trial, Mr. Reaper. Sorry to barge in, said somebody. Oh, it's Gina. Oh no, it's both of them. Gina? What's with that on her arm? It's an SOS Doncho. No, what do you call the club leader? Something. SOS Don. It's a morning band, I suppose. Father, shouldn't you be at the symposium?
It's been postponed, so I have some free time. I decided to come along with the police inspector to see our country's up-and-coming student in action. I shall be very interested to see the fruits of your studies over the past year.
Well, it's an honor to have you here. Let's hope there are some fruits to see. Odo. Oh, yes, Gina? Why'd you agree to this, eh? Why'd you take him on? An Ishgard Large? Oh my god. Void Hunter was in here the other day. He picked up a personal medium, I think he said. Or no, did he say medium or large? I don't remember. I think he might have said that he got a large. Liberal application of I hope you mean Gil and not Cash. But no, oh man, the house. I haven't looked to see if there was an update today, but you know they've had sporadic updates to saying like things went wrong. And I was in, like I had to try and bust the rumor that people were saying at first, where they're like, oh well, since the winning roll came up 0, what probably happened is that they forgot that when you do random X, it picks a number between 0 and X minus 1, so you have to do random X plus 1. That's probably what they did wrong, and then they didn't test it. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? That's obviously not what it is. Oh, you found a plot that only had 1 bid so far, and then the 10 of you came in. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what you gotta do. And even then, it's not guaranteed, so... But no, that's very nice. I'll have to drop by and visit. This Reaper broke. Everyone says it was him what killed the boss. I'm sorry, Gina. But I just don't believe that. Well, if it weren't him, who was it? I don't know that yet. I don't care who calls him what. The Reaper's just a name. He's just a person at the end of the day. And if it turns out it was him what killed the boss, then God help him. Frowny face.
Fiery eyes, indeed.
Ward 1 plot 60? Alright. In Ward 1, you got a large? Incredible. How was there only 1 bid on it? Wild. Yes, the culprit deserves every ounce of your loathing.
Eh? At least that may be some solace to the deceased.
Please, Otto. Get whoever did this for the boss. Oh, Gina. I hate feeling this useless, but there's nothing I could do. So you've got to find who done this and make the wretch pay.
Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court will be in session shortly. Make your way into the courtroom at once, please.
Waited until 2 days before the deadline, then went and checked every single large to see which one had the fewest. I mean, even then, somebody could... well, then, after you've put all those votes in, it wouldn't be enticing anymore. So, yeah, it's... even if someone did it later than you, they would still be going after something that has, 3 or 4, not 11. All right, then, here we go. It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. Lord Van Zeeks. One who lost his treasured brother to a mass murderer. The one who lost his treasured father in a foreign court of law. And one who lost the man who helped her escape destitution. All that misfortune, all that pain, on course to collide headlong in this trial. It's time to shine a light on all these dark events. I am the Gostak, and whatever truth is revealed, we're going to have to look it straight in the eye. Oh, that's good. There's a channel that I just discovered. Internet Historian, probably, hopefully. He's got, like, some of the best videos on YouTube. The most enjoyable videos to watch. He has a number of other channels that he kind of doesn't advertise. One of them is called Story Mode, where he takes a game and either he alone or he and somebody else will basically run through either the movie or the game all the way through and explain what the plot of it is. And I first saw it because he did one of the Nancy Drew games that Frumpopotamus is always playing. And so I watched that and I'm like, this is so ridiculous, but I don't think they're lying about what this game is about. And then I recently went and watched, he did one on Final Fantasy VII, and I had forgotten just how silly like, I know the first half of the game pretty well, but I often forget, anytime I find out what happens in the second half of Final Fantasy VII, I'm always like, I don't remember any of this. So yeah, Story Mode is the name of the channel, and he's got a couple dozen videos on there, and I have to get caught up and watch all of them. The only ones I watched are the Nancy Drew with Final Fantasy VII, and he did one on Resident Evil 1.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here to conduct the fair and just trial of the defendant, Barak von Zeeks. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready to begin?
The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Oh, Kazuma-sama. I've been wishing to see you in court again for so long, it feels... But I never pictured it happening like this. I never thought I'd be facing you behind the prosecution's bench.
The so-called Reaper of the Bailey has been a scourge like no other, undermining Her Majesty's justice system. Today we must uncover the truth behind this scourge.
In other words, this trial is going to be a lot more far-reaching than Inspector Gregson's murder.
The truths revealed by these proceedings may have unpredictable repercussions through the judiciary. Accordingly, they are to be conducted as a closed trial with no members of the public present. By Her Majesty's direct orders.
Who died and made her queen? How will that work, my lord?
The burden of all arbitration and adjudication falls on my shoulders. I shall use Shinku Hadouken. It is 6 times as powerful as a normal Hadouken. Therefore, as you will see, the juror's bench shall remain vacant today.
If no members of the public are present, then who is behind us wearing all those hats? Look! There's obviously people here. Oh no, that's what she's saying right now. If no members of the public are present, might I ask who is currently occupying the gallery, my lord?
They are members of the judiciary, here to witness proceedings and ensure an equitable trial.
Members of the judiciary. Oh my, this is a very unusual trial already.
There is, of course, another unprecedented aspect to these proceedings on which I must elaborate. The counsels for the prosecution and the defense are both aliens of Great Britain.
I believe it takes an outsider to see the truth sometimes. And as I stand here in this courtroom now, I'm quite certain. This is the reason why I had to come to Britain. Kazuma?
Very well. Let us commence proceedings. Prosecutor Asugi, your opening statement, if you please.
Certainly, my lord. A moment while I pour a glass of wine, and then smash it. Nope. The incident took place on 1st November at just after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The location was a building of flats on Fresno Street, on the outskirts of the city. The victim's body was discovered there in an old single-room rental property.
Yes, Inspector Tobias Gregson, a name known very well in this court. Not least for his miraculous resolution of one of this country's grimmest cases 10 years ago.
The Professor case. How sure are you about the time of the incident? Several witnesses on the street outside heard the gunshot, and all have reported the same time. Yes, that's what Gina told us too. There were a number of witnesses. I have here a plan of the room. The victim was found curled up in one corner. It's believed that he was shot from the front at point-blank range and died instantly.
How has the range been determined?
There were scorch marks around the entry wound. Such marks are caused by the gunpowder used to fire the bullet. But powder hot enough to leave scorch marks is only ejected a few inches beyond the end of the barrel. In other words, it only happens when the target is at point-blank range.
I see, yes. Thank you for the detailed explanation, Counsel.
Death was instant. Almost any time an autopsy report says death is instant, it's going to come up that you're going to present this because someone's going to say, oh, I see, he was shot, and then he wrote the killer's name down on this piece of paper and then died. Or he was shot on one side of the room and then crawled to the other side while holding all of his blood in, and then he died. The murder weapon was found lying beside the victim.
And have you managed to ascertain the owner of this firearm?
No, my lord, not conclusively. Bravo, Kazuma-sama, for not trying to use the gun as evidence when its provenance can't be proven. Furthermore, my lord, as I've explained, the revolver was fired at extremely close range. The bullet passed through the victim and struck the wall behind him. There is a candelabrum mounted on that wall, and the tip of one of the candles in it was found to have been blown off by the projectile. We noticed that too, didn't we? Yes, that's right.
Thank you for the thorough report, Counsel. The setting of the crime is clear to me. You will submit the plan of the crime scene as evidence, please.
As you wish, my lord. Be-do-bum.
Is this Fresno Street room Inspector Gregson's private abode?
No, my lord. The room is rented to a Mr. Hugh Boone. But there's precious little furniture inside, and it is generally in a poor state of repair. So what on earth was Gregson even doing there? Presumably he was investigating some case or other. When a policeman was informed of the gunshot from the witnesses and rushed to the scene, he found only the deceased inspector and the accused standing alongside, holding the revolver. The attending officer arrested the accused on the spot.
So, the details of the case are clear.
In that case, the prosecution would like to call its first witness.
A name, please, Counsel.
Naturally, the accused himself. Lord Van Zieks. As a prosecutor, he believes in the oath of office he's taken, and will be compelled to tell the truth.
Very well. Let the defendant take the witness stand.
So, witness, state your name and occupation for the court.
Barak Van Zieks, Old Bailey prosecutor. I presume, Lord Van Zieks, that you heard Prosecutor Asugi's opening precis?
I did.
It is alleged that you were found at the scene of the crime, and that you were arrested by the arriving police officer. Can you confirm this?
Yes, my lord. Then I'm sure the court would like to hear you explain some things away. Namely, why you were there in the room on Fresno Street at the time in question. And what exactly took place.
I intend to explain away nothing. I will simply tell the truth. I must say, Lord Van Zieks, I never imagined this day would come. Or rather, I didn't want to imagine it would come. But since you became known as the Reaper, a part of me has been dreading it. Your formal testimony, then, witness.
I was investigating Gregson, and my inquiries had led me to that address.
I first entered the room that day, it was dark inside, and I saw no one. A moment later, I heard the gunshot. I spun around and saw the revolver on the floor. Just as I picked the firearm up to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. It was only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me.
That testimony was the whole truth?
It was.
So, you heard a shot being fired in a room with no living occupants, and moments later a corpse somehow appeared before your eyes. Is that it? You're right. You haven't explained away anything. In fact, that would barely qualify as an excuse.
I thought you were my mute apprentice. Yet it turns out you have a way with words, Prosecutor Asugi. It would appear to be a singular tale indeed.
Singular isn't the word. It's laughable. What's got into Kazuma? He's not behaving like himself at all.
Very well, then. Counsel, you may begin your cross-examination.
Yes, my lord.